Debbie Jones and Penny Ryan are Olympic bound here in Calgary next February as the Olympic champions of Canada. And now this men's game, 2-1 for Pat Ryan over Ed Lukowich. Ryan, as we told you, had blanked those 4 ends, had to settle for 1 finally. And now, quite a situation here in the 8th end.
Well, Luke's got something going, but you can see what just happened. Randy drove it back. And now Luke gets a chance to draw into line 3.
And Pat Ryan looking for a chance to join wife Penny at these Olympic Games.
This is a big end here for Ed Lukowich. It's the 8th end. He's got advantage of last rock. He's lying shot and second shot. You can see them on your screen. He'll probably draw to the other side, spread them out to lie 3. John Ferguson throwing his last shot. These two teams are very similar, Don. You could, you know, I was lying awake last night in bed thinking about these two teams, and they're kind of like a Pat Ryan's the baseball team with tremendous pitching and maybe a little, not so much hitting, but good defense, and he relies on keeping it close and maybe winning those 1 and 2-0 games, where Luke's got a little bit more offense and a little more, you know, aggressive play, but they don't hit quite as good maybe. You can relate to that.
Yeah, sure can. Ferguson's rock.
They want this in front of the tee line.
Got a lot of room by the guy.
Really dug in. They got it there, though, I think.
It'll certainly be a shot. Tee line.
And behind that corner, too. Yep. What a shot by John Ferguson. This is the big end right here. It's a 2-1 game, Ryan. Lukowich lying 3.
And that is quite a departure from the norm in this game so far. This Pat Ryan rink with Randy Ferbey, Don Walchuk, and Don McKenzie had not curled together as a team until just about 2 weeks before these trials.
Think we should play this one? Normal?
That was John Ferguson's first shot. Randy Ferbey has one left. And you can see what Pat's going to do. He can see a corner of the stone sitting at about the 10 o'clock position, half in the 8 and half in the 12, the one behind the long red guard. He thinks if he can catch a corner of that, he can come right across the rings and make the double. He's trying to get himself out of a very difficult situation. I think Luke would have liked that back a little bit further or a touch shorter. Randy Ferbey. You got a bite on?
Don't think so.
No, sir. Oh, this thing is turning right around.
Sure has. That was a big miss right there because Lukowich is left lying 3. He has last rock in the end. And number 8, and trails 2-1. And what he does not want is guards out in front.
Well, in last night's game against, try and listen a little bit.
Right here. Yeah. Okay. You know, straight across from it, then he can go with the double or the triple, or he can play this. Okay. This isn't a, you know, if he does this, we can still draw for 2, It's no big deal. Or he rolls across.
What do you guys think?
Well,
See, if we put it in the corner, he's definitely going to
situation to what Linda Moore had. Nice choice, but where do you place another rock now? And you're already lying 3 and the front is open. That's what they discuss now.
Well, I think you'd rather tap this one this way, wouldn't you? Almost straight back.
Yeah, straight back.
If you're going to tap
what's the matter with one over there in that corner straight across from it?
Makes a double and gets a spin behind it, though.
Well, we still draw for 2. Not,
yeah, well, you might stay for 10 rocks.
The debate rages on.
This is my
Nice problem to have. We'll get back and find out what they decide and return after the...
Well, the problem with tapping is that if you tap it, you get a go over on an amateur at all and you tap it, you just leave a straight pocket for the freeze. And there's no pockets right now. You know, we can create one pretty easy here, the farm mill.
Almost anywhere where you put it, though, you can create some kind of pocket.
There's something, you can't block everything.
Yeah.
He's going to play
How far out do you want to go at this?
See, I had a first reaction, too, was just guard this rock. Then he's almost bound to either play the double or freeze over there, and we could be almost close enough to, you know, double roll in off the guard.
Yeah. The thing is, if you get too tight with this, it makes a double, just watch it.
First reaction was over there in that corner, okay? Let's play that. Okay?
Okay.
Well, you heard the discussion. The boys kind of wanted to come down here, hit this, push this one back into this area here, leaving the shooter there. You heard Luke's comment about that. I don't like to play that, and there's no pocket set up, so I don't want to set anything up for him. He said his first reaction, gut reaction, was to come around and put it over into this area here, right across from it, just set it there. And you heard him say, let him make the double. I think that's what we're going to do, Don.
They could still get 3 conceivably if he does make the double, but it's a tough situation for Ryan no matter what they do.
Because this one, you're just setting him up to hit and roll right frozen in your other one.
You can see John's not too sure.
Oh, he has doubts.
We all still like this shot.
What?
This one, you want to guard?
Oh, yeah, let's play this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really think that's their best shot overall, don't you, Ray?
Well, the 3 of them
You want
thought
to push
so.
it straight back, don't you?
Luke doesn't want, what he doesn't want to do is create any pockets, and you can't blame him for that. And if the freeze isn't, if the tap back isn't good and it sits together, then you might set it up for him. You know, set him up for a double and a roll in front of the other stone that sits at the back of the forefoot. So you got to really be careful here.
I thought for a while they're going to take it and throw it into the board.
Yeah, pass. It's got the line. He doesn't want to curl too much and hit it on the outside, otherwise he'll leave something to freeze to.
And he's going to send it toward the center of the sheet.
See, that's the trouble with that shot a little bit. I think you find Pat, well, the double's still there.
So he angled the raise ever so slightly.
The wrong way.
Yeah.
You see, he can get the hit and roll. He could play down on the face of it. Luke doesn't like it.
It's one of those see I told you so's, huh?
Well, you know, Pat's in trouble, so he's looking for anything to get out of this mess.
Seriously, what about throwing that last rock away? Would that be the stupidest thing in the world to do?
No, you could do that. You would leave him across the double. You'd like to hang it on someplace, I think. I wasn't opposed to what Luke wanted to play. I mean, hang it on the other side, and I know they're not happy. You can see Luke shaking his head a little bit.
Hit and roll. If I come and catch a quarter of this, we'll get...
I'm going to catch a roll out anyway, though.
Yeah, it's either...
I think you got to play just halfway down it or something.
Well, Ryan is going to discuss with Randy Furby what their approach to this situation is. We'll be back to pick it up for you right after this.
What do you got?
On April 26th, we're coming together. From places near and far. With one goal in mind. To create an airline that will serve this land like no other. Canadian. The spirit takes wing.
Yeah. Did you go for the freeze?
Meeting goes on. Pat Ryan and company.
Just off the nose, I guess, eh?
Yeah. If it does start to overcurl, we just get a little nudge in here. So we'll sit back here. It'll still be laying 2 probably.
Yeah.
Well, you heard the discussion. They talked about, we give him 3 as a game over because, I could play the double. But the guys decided, look, let's try and get out of this, and they're going to play the freeze, and that's why the situation, that's why Luke didn't want that situation with that rock sitting at the 11 o'clock on the 12-foot, because not only, can you freeze to the back one, the one sitting in the 4-foot, you could get the little hit and flip behind that rock that was just put there. So Pat's decided to try and get out with the freeze, and he thought about playing the double on the 2 that are in the 4-foot or biting the 4-foot, but he's
That's a tough one, though.
decided against that. That's
Yeah.
right. He said, okay, boys, let's go for it all here and try and get out of this.
Got to go with a shot that you have the best percentage to make, then it'll do the most good for you if you do succeed in it. That's what they think they've come up with.
The stone that John Ferguson put there really isn't helping the situation at all. It's of hindrance at this point.
If he'd hit it straight back, it'd be a little different. But
Or on the outside a bit.
Yeah.
On the center line side, I should say. And
here's Ryan.
he's right down the center line now. The weight's close. It's got to come a long way.
Yes, it does. Still pretty firm weight, and it's not moving all that much.
Staying out too, Don.
Yeah, he'll leave some room there. That's what he didn't want to do. It is available to Fast Eddie Lukowich of Calgary, Alberta.
Boy, how quick it changes. Here you have a 2-1 game, and all of a sudden
tap it straight back.
Tap, yeah, tap.
But then we still have something to maybe clear it through, eh? Roll over here. At least changes his shot for him. Makes him go to that other turn. What was your idea? Roll about half a rock?
I think we almost just stay right there. If we roll just a hair in.
Well, if we roll a hair in.
He just taps it back in, and we gotta get by 2.
Yeah, then we gotta squeeze him.
I think right in the nose. What do you guys think? Right in the nose?
Well, this is just great. You know,
Yeah.
people that now you know, the viewers that are watching, you know why we love this game so much.
Here.
I mean,
oh, no,
this kind of thing, you know, all 4 members are involved in this.
Exactly.
Let's try and listen to
Let's
them.
pick up the next 2
Right in the
votes.
nose.
What happens if we roll right to the can? Then he's got the straight dead-on crease, which is really hard to get out unless we go across the face on something.
Yeah, it'll go by either side.
Okay. Just bump. Runs pretty straight, so just bump.
Straight hit, punch it out. As Eddie clears a path on the way back to the other end. Here's what he's after.
Well, John wanted to come down and hit it and roll this way here in front of this stone here, but Eddie said, no, let's come down this way here and roll the other way to there.
Makes a lot of sense. Gives some spacing. He'd be at the top of the button, so that a draw would be of no value to Ryan, except perhaps to try to cut him down with a freeze, and it may come to that. But let's see what this shot does first. Not much roll. None. 4 of them, 5 make it to the back for Eddie Lukowich, with each man having a rock to play in this eventful 8th end.
Well, Pat's now looking at freezing through that hole to the back one, trying to get out of this thing.
Eddie would have liked to have been a little more to center, top of the 4th.
Would like to just roll to top of the button.
Yeah.
Well, it's amazing how this game of curling can just turn over in one shot if Pat Ryan doesn't make this properly and Eddie gets it out of there somehow. This game is a handshake almost.
Well, let me just say this. He has a chance to get out from under, but Mr. Ryan is not in great shape right now.
Still probably goes. Play just a little bump back on that.
He is really at the point now where he almost has to look at cutting his losses. It is 2-1
What's the other
for
option?
Ryan.
Okay, if it's hanging straight, we'll just play it right on the nose.
Well, we don't even have to push it back. You know,
put it back to here.
There, whatever. He'll throw the outside this way.
That's all right. Let him try it. As long as this one's sitting here.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think about coming in here? Yeah, he just nails his own, eh? Yeah. So do you think we should come down onto his end and just tap it back and sit? Let him try? Yeah, what else can we do? I could go for a quadruple here, eh?
You heard Pat's go for a quadruple.
Oh, even this isn't there. That goes square if I get that. I think we have to play the bump back.
He's talking of just touching that redstone back, not very much, and staying there, leaving it for backing along with the other one.
That's right. Well, there's 3 rocks in there, and it's tough for Luke to get it by it.
Had, eh? Bump it back a foot.
Well, we couldn't say it better, Don.
That's it.
He told us exactly.
Little chip and roll isn't bad either. Okay? Like if it's over curling.
All you heard his comments crystal clear. He said, let's come back down this way here, tap that back a foot into that area there. And he also said, just clear that for a moment, that if that doesn't work out, we could get the hit and a little chip into this area here.
Wouldn't be bad either. Whatever the case, Pat Ryan has got to make a superb curling shot to get out from under here in this 8th end.
This is called the grease.
Uh-huh.
This is when you're
into the hole?
in the grease.
I thought you were talking about freezing under the other one.
Heat is on.
Huh? Oh, let's go down and take a look at it again.
Yeah, I don't blame you, Pat.
Yeah, this is a big shot.
This is the game right here. Take as much time as you want.
This is the week for him.
White Penny already in the Olympics next year as lead for Linda Moore team.
Lindsey Sparks already in. Husband Bernie on the sidelines out of this men's competition.
You guys think we should come in here?
You know, Don, and just alluding back to the Moore-LALIBERTE game, it was a sensational game. Connie actually kind of controlled it through the game. It's another example of, you know, the drama that's involved in this sport of ours. You know, it all came down to those 1 or 2 shots, and we saw an unfortunate miss by Janet Harvey. And
we don't have to push it, just as long as we got fair line or
It'd be nice to push it back to here.
yeah.
I think they've gone back to the original
Well, then he's got to
idea.
get it out clean. If he doesn't get it out clean, it's going to stick, eh? If you put it right here, then he just pounds it and it squirts out either way. I think we got to play down onto this and just bump his back.
That's his
Just a
first
slight
thought.
angle like this. Let him do whatever he wants. By coming in here, if I come here, he's got the crotch. If I come in right here, he just hits this on the edge.
If you roll right this way, it's going this way.
Okay, let's play that shot that we called.
Yeah, I think Pat's right. I think I come down to the face of that one, and if it happens to stay out or come across too much, you might get the little hit flip in front of. And
What he just did too, Ray, is you're familiar. He just worked it through a second time to make sure that they aren't overlooking anything, and he came back with the initial decision, and now it's very much confirmed in his mind.
that's right. I mean, you can just hear a buzz in here, and everybody knows that this is it. This is it for Pat Ryan.
Facing 5, a critical shot for him. Without last rock in this 8th end. The ice, the weight, everything. So critical. And here it is.
On its way, Don. An in-turn freeze or tap back.
Nice looking weight. Still hugs that center line, however.
He's got to move, you heard them say.
Still got some room there.
It's going to be a little too heavy, I think, isn't it? Just going to
No, not bad. Not bad.
Pretty good shot. It's really all he could do. But Luke can hit it on the outside and chip it out of the hole.
Try and go across the face with it, eh?
Or he can hit it on the outside,
Might lose a couple of hours,
drive it onto his own, maybe lose 2 of them. Squirt it out.
right?
Lukowich line 1 with the potential of many more. But no easy shot by any stretch of the imagination for him.
Just draw for 2.
Well, if we hit it dead on or 3/4 a good weight, it'll go over the top, won't it? It'll spin. Yeah. Right?
Or you could go off the top.
Yeah. Yeah. The only thing is we don't want to just tick this, because then it stays dead there, right? Well, even if we hit 1/4 of this, it's going to be flying. Okay? No. No, don't like it quite as... it's possible.
Good weight, and you just appeal and jump out of there.
Well, I think I better go this way.
This way you could give him one.
Well, we got to gamble. What the heck? He'll wait.
That was the shot Eddie had first sight in his mind. He wants to stick with it.
That's right, Don. You know, Luke wants to play it this way. He wants to hit it on the outside here, drive it out this way. You'll lose this stone here. He may even lose this one here. But this shooter here will go right across and out that way there. He can pick up 3. The guys were talking about coming the other way, maybe as a peel shot and hitting it here and
Ease it out
ticking it
that way.
and trying to squeeze it out here this way.
Which isn't a bad thought, but it's not to Eddie's liking. The key is that there is a little bit of space, and you can see it right there. That much distance between the Ryan Yellowstone and the Lukowich Redstone.
The one thing I might mention right here is that one thing Eddie Lukowich does do well himself is throw the big weight. He always has, and the guys will tell you that they love these shots. Here it comes.
And it is big weight. And he's not happy.
There it is. He's putting it across. Yes, and it's 5. He gets 5. Incredible. What a throw. He threw from the hip, Don.
And he saved the shooter for a protect. Here in the 8th end in Calgary. And they're up and cheering Eddie Lukowich.
Boy, did he throw this stone. He threw it from the hip, and look at this. Contact, and across it comes. He squirts it out. Brett Symes in position to brush it. It's a big 5-ender. Look at it from the top, Don. Did he throw it or not? Look out! Look at Brett Symes in perfect position to get that extra 5th point.
And as Eddie
Jumps
said,
all over it.
I knew it could go across the top of those in the spin, and that's exactly what it did. I don't think he ever figured on getting 5, but that's what it earned him.
It's a partial Calgary crowd, and are they delighted?
Marvelous, dramatic shot by Eddie Lukowich, who now is getting very close to the Olympic Games right in his hometown. We'll be back with the LABATTS National Trials right after this. The big 5 count has taken charge here in this game as Fast Eddie shook off the slider, the curveball, and threw the high, hard Roger Clemens fastball to pick up 5 right there.
Did he ever? He let that go from the hip. Honestly, if the boards hadn't been there, it was still going. Yeah. Take a look at him. Was he happy about this? All right, he says. You know it. You know it.
He looked so worried when he let it go. And winds up now on the doorstep to the Olympic Games. First time anybody has scored a 5 at the LABATTS Trials, but let me tell you and remind you, Ray, about the 5s and how important they've been this year. Russ Howard with a 5 in the last end to win the Brier. 5 more for Howard, last end to win the Silver Broom. And now this 5 in the 8th end for Lukowich on his way to the Olympic Games.
Well, the trend here, of course, is that he's going to hit everything in sight. He's got complete control. That was, it all came down to one end, as did the game with the girls. It came down to that 10th end, and Linda Moore picking up those points.
But, Ray, this one really came out of the blue in this game because you'd seen a 1-1 tie. You'd seen 4 consecutive blank hands. Ryan forced to take 1. There was no indication that that kind of situation was going to present itself here, but it did.
Don Walchuk.
So the upsets continue here in these national curling trials. By all rights, had Curl Canada and the CCA known that Russ Howard was going to win both the Brier and the World Championship, there probably wouldn't be any need for these trials. But, of course, who would know that beforehand? Russ gets knocked off here. Then you have the round-robin leader, Pat Ryan, 1 loss, clearly the best team throughout the week until the playoffs, waiting for his bye to the finals and getting burned by 5 on the 8th end.
Well, you know, the concept of what they did this year is tremendous, and it's really worked out well. It's told a couple of stories, Don. One in particular is that the three teams that were put together individually with individual all-stars, as they called them, you know, really struggled, and it's it kind of proved something that we all thought maybe was there, but there's a lot more to curling than just throwing the stones up and down the ice. Not that those teams didn't curl well, because they did. That's Eugene Ritzik is a tremendous curler, and Kurt Ziola is an excellent curler, but it takes more to throwing the stones to win. It's a combination of 4 personalities, and you have to work it together. And those 3 teams, Chris Moore and Eugene and Kirk, finished at the bottom of the list because the competition was so tough here. It's not so difficult for the front ends, the leads and seconds. They can step in. But what is difficult is the back ends. Your leads and second positions are so well defined that it's not hard to adjust to a new combination.
Right.
But your back end situations, your thirds and skips, it takes a long time to know how each other works.
And the parallel I wanted to draw and will is with the World Hockey Championships and Canada being forced to add players on, put an all-star team together, the best they can get out of the eliminated teams in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And it really is at a disadvantage for them when they play the national teams of the Soviet Union, Czechoslovakia, and others.
That play as units all the time.
Yeah, it does make a difference, even in curling, as we've seen here. So 4 down, the 9th end continues with 2 corner guards, about the only prospects right now for Ryan, but one of them, Ferguson, hopes to send on its way right here.
Well, all of us have curled enough to know that things can turn around. You get another nose hit here, and you get in behind the corner, and you can pick up 2 or 3 points and put yourself right back in. If you Pat could get 3 here, he's 1 down coming home.
Well, that is not out, but it has rolled so far as if to be of no importance. Pat is the 1 guard to work with. He'll try it with the in-turn draw.
And look at how evenly matched these teams are. They've absolutely dominated this province. You know, in 1983 and 84, it was Eddie Lukowich. In 1985, it was Pat Ryan. And if it hadn't been for an absolutely unbelievable shot, we were there to witness it, Don, by, you know, Al Hackner. You know, he may have gone on to be the world champion in 85, and Luke comes back in 86 and wins the world championship. In 87, Pat Ryan goes to Briar.
Look at this.
It's a bye. Good shot. Like a disappointing Briar. He had hoped to maybe kind of get it all back here, but the 8-10 and a 5 points has really kind of shattered a dream.
I'll jump on it, okay?
Okay, what turn you want to play?
Regular weight. Outturn.
Outturn?
Well, Ryan has been through this before. The Briar, Monk,
Make sure we don't
85,
stay there.
11-0, round robin. Then losing that heartbreaking extra end final to Alan Hackner.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
Little deja vu here this afternoon.
Yeah. Well, John Ferguson has been asked just to run this back. You know, Eddie's quite satisfied to give up a couple points. He'd prefer, of course, not to give up 3, but... They've got it going now, haven't they? Look at this.
Well, we talked about it earlier, Ray, how Lukowich and company seemed to gather momentum yesterday, and they got better as they went along, and they really did gain control and polish off Eddie Werenick and his fine team from Toronto last night, and it set them up for this here.
Good shot by John. Hits it on the nose, drives it right back, replaces the stone. It doesn't matter, though. Pat's going to go around this corner guard. He's got to try and get something going. 3 rocks to come. Maybe he can score all 3 of them.
As long as there are rocks in play, the potential for a 2 or 3 always exists. Ryan counting on this shot to be there. And it is. A little deep. Much too deep. It really slid. Did not dig in.
It's gone.
It's history.
Well,
Go here?
I don't know. I think maybe we should waste the guard. Why give him a chance? He's going to go around that rock there.
Eddie is thinking
You go ahead.
simple
Give me a
mathematics
shot
right
at
now.
it.
Elimination.
Teal.
Give him no chance. Get rid of him. This team has been together 4 years. John Ferguson joined the team just before the 84 Briar. Lukowich, Houston, and Syme are together since 83.
I've had a couple of chances, privileges, I guess I should say, to curl with Luke. A couple times in the Pacific Western Bonspiel in Winnipeg, and Terry and Bronstein and I have played with him a couple of years, and he really is a delight to play with him. And that is the one thing that all the competitive careers can tell you that have played against him or played with him, is that he does have tremendous ability to throw that up weight, that big downtown, Russ Howard calls it, downtown weight, and he throws it with control, and that was a good example of it. Not many guys could throw the rock that hard and control their deliveries like you saw, Don.
I've seen subways not move as fast.
That's right. The other guy that could do that so well during his competitive years was Donnie Dugan. He could really throw that big shot and control it. It's a talent.
That's
it's something
the key,
they
to be
work
able
on.
to control it with that weight. Absolutely. Well, Lukowich leaves the guard. He will play the center of the house. 3 rocks left, 2 for Ryan. 9th in, trailing 6-2.
Go around real good. He'll guard this.
I'll let him guard it. Hopefully he won't guard it perfect. Then you can play...
We want to tease him with leaving it out a little.
The old tee shot coming up here.
Well, I'm sure it's a sinking feeling for that man right there, Randy Furby, and they've had, you know, they beat Lukowich to get to the Briar, and then in Edmonton, and they had kind of a disappointing Briar. They just couldn't get it going, and they got back on track here, and to get to this final, they were 6-1 and finished first, and advantage of last rock on that first end, and kind of control things as they moved through the game. All of a sudden, bang, and one inning's over.
And 79% may not be good enough today.
Pat Ryan is one of those kind of guys that shows a lot of class, winning or losing. So is Eddie Lukowich as well. He just with a great feel for curling and a good understanding of the sport.
Okay, make sure I got enough. Okay.
It's something I've said before, Don, and I think I'd like to repeat it here. One of the things about this game that I really appreciate so much is the fact that it's, you know, these athletes, among these athletes, you see and find very few prima donnas. The game just doesn't have a room for those kind of people. And you saw earlier in the game, in the ladies' game, where Linda Moore turned to Janet Harvey and said, "Good shot," and there's a great respect. And you heard Linda's comments about Connie LALIBERTE. She has a great deal of respect for her, and they really do, you know, they really do understand each other, and they're fantastic athletes, and they're so accommodating with us. Anything we ask them, they'll do for us. So it's just terrific.
Sportsmanship has always been the cornerstone of this game and remains so. And that's gone. They're leaving nothing to chance. Now with the button covered front and partially at the back, Pat Ryan has to look at a double here just to get one, and then hope for a miracle at the 10th end. Ryan made an excellent shot in an attempt to salvage that 8. Not letter perfect, but still a pretty good curling shot. But then Eddie Lukowich simply came down the ice hard and high and made an outstanding shot for his 5. So it's one man's best against another's. And today, Lukowich has certainly the best of it at 6-2 with his final shot of N9 on its way from Pat Ryan.
It all came to one end. You know, it's been amazing. It's that's what really makes the game so much fun. It can turn over so quick on you.
Ryan gets the double, scores 1, will trail by 3, coming home, 10th and final end of the men's competition at the National LABATTS Trials for the Olympic Games in Calgary, and we'll have it for you right after this. From the Max Bell Arena, the 10th and last end is underway as Pat Ryan is simply putting rocks in play either on the corner or, as you saw that one come right into the house, in the hope of getting some misses from this Lukowich team. But that is so unlikely now because Eddie and his quartet are so pumped up after that dramatic 8th end where he scored 5 that it seems that nothing will deny them a trip back to the Olympic Games right here in their hometown of Calgary next February.
There'd be no line in Vegas on this, on Pat winning this one now.
Not now.
Wait, yeah. 3. Wait.
You'll just run him out of stones, Don.
And there goes number 2 of the end. 6 left for Ryan. He needs 3 without last rock.
Prince Syme, born in Kitchener, Ontario, lives in Calgary.
Ferguson and Houston born in Calgary. Lukowich in North Battleford, Saskatchewan. But they all live here now.
Well, they've certainly provided me with a lot of entertainment over the last couple of years. They put on a terrific performance in Kitchener last year, Briar, and then in Toronto, the World Championships. They struggled during the week, but Luke finally got it together. And I'd like to just kind of allude back to his performance, as you mentioned, Don, this week. He really did struggle the early part of the week, and then all of a sudden it came around, and I think the end that turned it all around for him. He made 2 sensational shots, as I mentioned earlier, in the game against Russ Howard, where he made 2 doubles. And from that moment on, he personally kind of got it going.
Picked up a big 3 last night against Eddie Warreneck, and that was the key in the semifinal win. Right now, the elimination process continues with the 3rd Ryan Yellow Rock of this 10th end now back in the pile. The sweep to get the Lukowich rock as far over as they can to prevent it from being used by Ryan as a corner guard, and it's not very useful where it is. In fact, there isn't anything I can imagine that would be useful to Ryan right now except about 3 misses in a row by the opponents, and you get the feeling that isn't going to happen. One end did it. There you see the magic 5 for Eddie Lukowich in the 8th end after a very tight match until that point. Walchuk shot, just drop over the hog line and stay in play out there. Want to remind baseball fans that the Blue Jays and Chicago White Sox go at it from historic Comiskey Park. That'll be at 2:30 Eastern time start on CTV tomorrow afternoon. Houston shot to come over. And it doesn't come quite enough, leaves it in play. So at least a faint glimmer of hope, and I emphasize faint, on that partial miss for the Pat Ryan team. We've got a little bit to work with now, but a long way to travel. Ryan was second for Paul Devlin in the 1979.
Come around it, it's okay too.
85, of course. We told you he went 11-0 and then lost the heartbreaking sudden death final in an extra end to Al Hackner, who really is the only notable not here this week. Randy Furbystone being worked on by Walchuk and McKenzie. Trying to freeze to the face of the Lukowich shot stone. He will move it ever so slightly. Ryan has 3 rocks remaining after this, and will need them all.
Yeah. Nose, chip, doesn't matter.
Ray Turnbull has made his way down to ice level. He'll be talking with the winner just as soon as this men's final is over. Ferguson. Great shot. Peels it out. Saves the shooter. So Ryan has 3 stones left, and they all must be counters. Earlier, Linda Moore won the women's right to go to the Olympic Games for Canada. Defeating CONNIE, LALIBERTE with a 3 count of the final in, 7-5 the final there. And this one just about over. We've got some closing ceremonies and presentations to come here at the Maxwell Arena. As the Ryan rock curls, digs in front of the tee line under partial cover.
Here to it?
Yeah.
Just play tight.
Yeah. Play bump. Fairly tight.
Lukowich asking Ferguson to hit it. It is so far behind the guard, there certainly is room, even with decent weight, for it to come over. And if he does, you will hear the sound of Velcro parting with the curling gloves coming off in this men's final. Because Ryan will be out of rocks. This could clinch it for Lukowich. Starting it wide. Needs to curl. Coming a little bit now. Just needs a corner of the Yellowstone to get rid of it. And he does. That'll do it. The gloves come off. Lukowich congratulated by Pat Ryan, other members of the teams. And the Eddie Lukowich quartet from Calgary will be right here at home for the Olympics of '88. So we'll be back for the winner with Ray Turnbull in just a moment as the LABATTS National Curling Trials continue from Calgary. It's an extremely well-played match. It was 5 right there in the 8th end by Eddie Lukowich over Pat Ryan. The clincher as Lukowich held off Ryan 6-3 to win the right to represent Canada in the men's competition at the Calgary Olympics next February. And right now, Ray Turnbull is with a very happy Eddie Lukowich. Ray?
Luke, congratulations. Fantastic. A hand by the crowd for Pat Ryan. He's had a terrific year, and I'm sure he wanted with all his heart to, to finish it off with a trip to the Olympics next year. But a great, great win for you, and congratulations.
Well, thanks very much. Pat and I have had about, I would say, 25 great games in the past, and he's taken some briar spots away from us, and we've done it to him as well. And here he led the field all week, and we came back and got him at the end. But he's done that to us before too, and I think it's really something, for us. I don't think we ever realized, a year or two ago what it'd be like to be able to play in the Olympics. And, our team is just tickled pink at this time.
I'm sure they are. Well, look, he kind of had control of the game a little bit. You hung in, and you mentioned before the game that that you know, you had to stay close to him. It all came down to that 8th end, and what an unbelievable shot you make, squeezing that shot out. We got a chance to take a look at it, actually.
Well, we got the brakes in this end, and you know, I threw this hard, and I had to hit about half or 7/8 to save the shooter, and there's the shooter rolling away, but there's a lot of speed on it, and their rock's rolling now, and even if I had rubbed that other one there, probably would have still spun out, but you know, it was an end where we got all the breaks, and I think we were fortunate early in the game because Pat rolled out to get a deuce on us in the first end. The ice was a little frostier today early, and the rocks are moving, and they really miscalled the rock in the first end to get a 2. And you know, you get behind that team, it's almost impossible to catch them because they're such good peelers. And then we had a big break in the 5th end too, where I actually rubbed a guard a tiny bit and still went and took the rock out of the rings. And you know, it was one of those shots that you don't play. Like I was trying to come by the guard clean and take them out, but I think it's kind of surprising, you know, that this year the Briars won by Russ Howard by a 5-ender on the last
That's
end.
right.
The World Curling's won by Russ Howard by a 5 on the last end, and here we get a 5 in the 8th end to win this. And then it kind of made up for the last game we played against Pat because he got a 4 on the 8th end during the round robin to dump us. And it was just our big 8th end this time.
Well, congratulations. I'm sure it's a great feeling being able to represent your country in the Olympics. Thanks a lot, Luke. Thanks for all the entertainment.
I'd like to thank the fans of Calgary and all the fans that supported us, and say hi to all the curling fans out there, whoever they were pulling for. You know, TSN does a great job for curling nowadays, and you're involved in with CTV and all the broadcasting. It's fantastic, and I hope that people really catch on and enjoy the curling in the Olympics.
Love it like we do.
Right.
Don, back up to you.
All right, Ray, and if you see more shots like that, I'm sure curling will grow in interest, certainly as the Olympics approach. It's a magnificent effort by Eddie Lukowich to break it open with a 5 count in the 8th end. He's right, those 5s have been the lucky number, certainly in curling this year. Our coverage of the LABATTS National Curling Trials resumes from Calgary in just a moment. We've had a lot of great competitors, but only 2 winners, and they're all going to be honored now as the closing ceremonies of these LABATTS National Curling Trials are about to begin here at the Max Bell Arena in Calgary. And they're just putting the finishing touches on to get them underway. You hear the swirl of the bagpipes in the distance here in this arena, which will be increased to 4,000 capacity, and every seat, I'm sure, for almost every draw, will be occupied in the Winter Games. Now that Eddie Lukowich has won on the men's side and Linda Moore on the women's side, Canada's going to have 2 very strong and obvious pre-Olympic favorites going.
Sound of the pipes, Don.
Yeah, at least once a year I have to have a bagpipe fix.
You know, this is the traditional part of the game, which is a big part of the sport as well. And, you know, the motherland of curling, of course, the home of the game, was born in Scotland. And the pipes kind of bring it all together.
Born in Scotland and certainly raised elsewhere in Canada.
That's right.
But Somerville will be representing the United States in the Olympic Games, and there is a very popular figure to Canadian curlers. He's given some great efforts over the years. He'll be up against Eddie Lukowich, among others.
Name from the past, but tremendous player, and one of the real gentlemen in the game. Absolutely a fantastic person.
A man who's gone through a lot of personal tragedy and adversity, and has represented his country and the game of curling exceedingly well. So he'll be here in Calgary for the Olympics next year. As the provincial flags come in, as we told you, they're going to be replaced by the national flags of the competing countries in the games. Same setting, a little larger Max Bell Arena for it. Here's the Maryland Dart team and the other women's competitors this week being brought in now.
Well, Maryland Dart really, you know, had a tough week. She got it going for a while and couldn't close it off, but really lost with a lot of class. And she's been just absolutely a great personality in our sport for the last couple of years. She's given it the charisma and the bubble that it really needs. Kathy Elwood. Here's our present world champion, Russ Howard, Kent Carstairs, Tim Belcourt, Glenn Howard. Girls from Saskatchewan.
Canada's best has come to Calgary.
Sandra Schmerler, Eugene Ritzik, Bobby Ursel.
Yep, okay.
Pauline Jones. There he is, the grand old master of the game, Don. Bernie Sparks. Jim O'Brien, Jimmy Armstrong.
Well, the teams competing in the Olympics next year in the men's side, along with Canada and the United States, are Norway, Switzerland, Sweden, West Germany, Denmark, and Great Britain. But Great Britain, as you look at Ron Northcott, the honorary chairman here of this event, great curling name in Calgary, is represented by Scotland in the men's competition. But they will have no representation in the women's because the teams are from Canada, the United States, Sweden, Germany, Switzerland, Denmark, Norway, and France, instead of Scotland, will be in the women's division. Now, the master of ceremonies for the closing ceremony today, Ray Kingsmith.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the participating teams. We would like you now to welcome the bronze medal women's team from Victoria, BC, skipped by Pat Sanders, Georgina Hawks, Louise Herlenboo, and their lead, Deb Masula.
These are world champions.
And the silver medal women's team from Winnipeg, skip Connie LALIBERTE. Third, Janet Harvey. Second, Corrine Peters. And their lead, Penny Ryan.
And what an effort they put up today in virtual control until the latter ends. The LALIBERTE quartet. And then Linda Moore and company from British Columbia took charge and won it by 2 points, scoring 3 on the last end.
Now please welcome the men's bronze medal team from Scarborough, Ontario. Skip Ed Wernick. Third, Paul Savage. Second, Johnny Kawaja. And their lead, Neil Harrison.
There had been talk that if they did not win here, this team might finally break up. But I heard some talk last night that Eddie and Paul are saying, hey, maybe one more try next year.
That's the rumor that's been around a little bit, Don. I think that what they may do, though, with it is Paul may skip and Eddie may play third. That's kind of how I heard it. Bring John and Neil back.
And the silver medal team from Edmonton, Pat Ryan, Randy Furby, Don Walchuk, and Don McKenzie.
So close and yet so far, this Ryan team on the verge of an Olympic entry. Just missing out today on one end.
It's amazing how they flip back and forth. They're so evenly matched. As you mentioned, Don, it came down to one end.
And here's the moment we've all been waiting for. The women's team who will have the honor of representing Canada in the demonstration sport of curling at the 1988 15th Olympic Winter Games. The women's team, skipped by Linda Moore from Vancouver, with third, Lindsay Sparks, Debbie Jones, and Penny Ryan.
And they get the ovation and adulation they deserve for their come-from-behind win today in dramatic fashion right here in Calgary. Linda, Lindsay, Debbie, and Penny were very happy young women at this moment.
Well, it's a dream of a lifetime for a curler to be able to, represent your country in the Olympic Games. I realize it's a demonstration sport, but unbelievable. You sew Canada back on your sweater. It's just an unbelievable thrill for these girls.
But medals are awarded, even though it's a demonstration sport. That happened in the Olympics in Los Angeles with baseball. So, demonstration perhaps, but you're in the Olympic Games and you're going for the gold, no question.
I give you the men's team who will have the honor of representing Canada in the demonstration sport of curling at the 1988 15th Olympic Winter Games. The men's team skipped by Eddie Lukowich from Calgary. Their third, John Ferguson. Their second man, Neil Houston. And and their lead, Brent Syme.
Here they are. There are so many great men's rinks in Canada, and believe me, this one ranks up there with the best of them, winning the gold here to go with prior championships. Now, of course, that ultimate opportunity, the Olympic Games, a very pleased Calgary crowd because the hometown guys won today.
And look at the teams they had to beat to be where they are. Ryan, Sparks, Lukowich, Howard, Wernick, Adams, Iola, Ritzik. I mean, a Bondsfield like you've never seen before, an event like teams like you've never had together before.
The average curler saw a draw like that, he'd simply ask for his entry fee back. No sense continuing. So Lukowich is the best of a mighty tough field here, and the curlers are in place. The ceremony will continue, and our coverage resumes from the LABATTS National Trials in Calgary after this.
I would now like to call on Mr. John Yoakum, Director of Marketing, Prairie Division, Labatt Brewing Company Limited, to say a few words and make his presentations.
Thank you, Ray, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Well, it's been quite a week. On behalf of LABATTS, I would first like to congratulate the curlers, the finest 64 men and women ever to compete in such a competition. You deserve our applause, not only for having qualified for these trials, but also for displaying this past week some of the finest curling ever seen. I would also like to thank the organizing committee and the many volunteers who are so essential to the success of an event like this. Many of you will be volunteers next year as well, when curling becomes a demonstration sport at the Winter Olympics, and the world can witness the skill and the popularity of this great game. To the people of Calgary, thank you for your interest and support in these trials. To the fans across Canada, we hope you enjoyed the telecast. As a proud sponsor of the 15th Olympic Winter Games, LABATTS is pleased to join with all Canadians in wishing the winning teams all success next year. We know that you are the best curlers in the world. It is now my distinct pleasure to make presentations to the top 3 ladies and the top 3 men's teams, and we wish you all the best of luck next year in February. Congratulations to you all.
Mr. Yoakum will now present those beautiful sculptures to the winning team and the equally beautiful copper engraved plaques to the 2nd and 3rd place teams.
And perhaps 2nd and 3rd here is harder to take than any other competition I can think of, because it'll mean at least 4 years before they get a chance to come back and claim the top prize, the trip to the Olympics.
I know that Penny Ryan be very, very happy here, but with mixed emotions, Don. I'm sure her heart is breaking for her husband, who wanted so badly to finish this year off with a win.
And for the Connie rink from Winnipeg, they were just outstanding. Connie and her teammates came down to the final end. One big shot turned that game around. And for the winners, these trophies they hope to put next to an Olympic gold medal a few months from now.
Pat Sanders, the reigning world ladies champion, accepting her prize. There she is.
Please join me
Regina
in
Hawks,
welcoming Dr. Roger
Louise
Jackson,
Hurlenvaux,
President of the Canadian Olympic Association,
Deb Mizuto.
to say a few words and present Olympic coins to the winning women's team.
Good afternoon. It's a very great pleasure as President of the Canadian Olympic Association on this very historic occasion to welcome the men's team and the women's team to the Canadian Olympic team for 1988. It's about time that we had you involved in the Games. I have a very real pleasure on behalf of the Royal Canadian Mint today. They, as you know, have, through the sale of Olympic coins, are sponsoring the athletes going to the Games as well as many of the facilities that are being built here in Calgary. And on behalf of the Royal Canadian Mint, I would like to present some very special Olympic coins to all the first, second, and third place finishers of the men's and ladies' events.
Well, they are beautiful, beautiful coins indeed. Very high profile, high design, the kind that is certainly coveted by most coin collectors. And they're available to the public in Calgary, but there are not very many in existence. Roughly 5 million is the total mintage. That's not for each coin, Ray, but that's the total mintage for this special occasion. So they have a prized remembrance in their hands right there.
They look pretty happy, don't they, Don?
Tell you, with the price of silver going up, it's not a bad prize.
No, that's right.
There it is. There's the curling coin.
Beautiful.
Picture of Ray Turnbull, I think, is the model for that.
No, I'm afraid that critter's left-handed.
It's a pleasure now to introduce the President of the Canadian Ladies Curling Association, Mrs. Elsie Crosby, to present medals to the winning teams and say a few words. She will be assisted in the presentation by the President-elects of the two national governing bodies, Dot McRae and Harvey Mazinki. Mrs. Crosby.
Curlers, ladies and gentlemen, as expected, we have been treated to a week of exceptional curling. On behalf of the Canadian Ladies Curling Association, I congratulate both the winning teams. We are proud to have you as our representatives. And in fact, I would like to congratulate all the teams on their excellent competitive spirit this week. We wish you every success in the competition at the Olympics in January. Many people have contributed to the success of the trials. The curlers, of course, the officials, the technical people, the local committee under the chairmanship of Brian and Ray have done a superb job of organization. We appreciate the number of hours they have invested. The media for keeping the public informed, and Labatt breweries who have their own team here with no competition as far as we're concerned. It certainly would not have been an event of this class without their generous support. Sincere thanks to everyone. Thank you.
It's interesting to note that Harvey Mazinki from Regina is the incoming President of the Canadian Curling Association, and Dot McRae, the incoming President of the Canadian Ladies Curling Association, and we're two members of the National Team Selection Committee, and Harvey also serves as the liaison from the International Curling Federation to OCO 88 and our curling group.
There are unique medals in the history of Canadian curling being worn by these four.
Would the men now take their places on the podium? Ladies return to their position. Mr. Yoakum will now present the beautiful sculptures and the copper engraving to the winning silver, and bronze place teams. We will immediately call upon Dr. Roger Jackson to present the beautiful Olympic coins to the winning men's teams, and at the same time, LABATTS representatives from Calgary and representatives from the Royal Canadian Mint will be presenting Olympic coins to all of the participating teams.
And as Ray said, not only do the top 3 teams receive those beautiful Olympic coins, but each curler in this competition will get one as keepsake in memory of the Olympic trials that have just wrapped up here in Calgary this afternoon. As the closing ceremonies continue, we will return to Calgary and the LABATTS national trials right after this brief pause. CTD's pre-Olympic coverage live from Calgary has featured the LABATTS National Curling Trials. Brought to you in part by General Motors of Canada Limited, who say join us at the 1988 Calgary Olympics. 2 great finals with the champions being honored here this afternoon, Ray Turnbull, and we've said it before, we'll say it again. Never has there been such a competitive week of curling anywhere in this nation.
Well, it's been a tremendous week, Don, and I hope the viewing public have enjoyed watching it today as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to them. It was just an unbelievable week for me to watch the level of play and the sportsmanship involved among all the teams.
And so we say adieu to you from Calgary for now, but we'll be back with you for the Olympic Games of 1988. You'll see it all from start to finish right here on the CTV television network. For Ray Turnbull, Don Chevrier, our entire crew, so long from the Max Bell Arena in Calgary.